lovely freaks, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Amanda.
And I'm Hannah.
And if you're new here, hi, welcome. If you like things strange and unusual and true crime, you can go ahead and hit that subscribe or follow button. You can also head down to the description box and you'll see a link that will take you to our social media like Instagram, Facebook, all that jazz.
And all that jazz.
Yeah. So, we are doing a podcast today for Sunday. I know that's a little weird.
Yep.
But if you didn't see our I was about to say Facebook. If you didn't see our Instagram post, we didn't post on Friday because unfortunately our dog, our Dotson that we've had for 8 years, passed away this past Sunday. Mm-hmm. Last Sunday, not tomorrow or when this is being posted. But so yeah, it's been a pretty rough week. So we've just kind of been busy with that, and then just mourning. I mean, losing a pet's really hard. A lot harder than I anticipated it to be. Because that's the first time I've ever had a pet of my own. Like, I mean, we've had pets with our parents and stuff, but that's the first time I've ever lost a pet that I've actually personally owned. So it was difficult. But anywho, we are back, and today we have a very interesting story for you guys. I'm back on the case.
Back on the case. Hannah's off the case.
Hannah's
Thank
off
God.
the case.
I was bad at it. I was stumbling over my words.
The last 2 weeks have just been insane in my life. So, and next week's not going to be any better because my children start school, and I'm hoping we're going to be able to get an episode for you guys out Friday. Hopefully we'll be able to, but it's going to be a busy week. We have a lot of doctor's appointments next week and everything, so I'm not going to bore you with my life anyways, just letting you know. Okay. So today we're going to be talking about an abduction case. We haven't done one of these in a while, but you guys, those are what our numbers are mostly like, we got high numbers in abduction cases, so.
And this story's about, I saw on a TikTok where there was a movie about it.
Yeah, it's the movie called, there's a couple of different documentaries and stuff, but the one from TikTok is the 3,096 Days.
Yeah, that's the only reason I know. Well, I don't know of it, but I've seen, clips of it.
Yeah.
So I might know some things, but not really.
So it's about Natascha Kampusch. Hopefully I said that last name right. But Natascha, this is a story out of, I'm trying to think of where it's from.
What is it from?
It's out of Austria.
I was about to say
I was pretty sure I was right, but I paused to make sure. I was pretty sure I was right though. But yeah, so the story's crazy. She was, for those of you that don't know, spoiler alert, but she was abducted for 8 years.
8 years is a long time. I couldn't even function. But it's crazy because some people are abducted for 18 years, 20 years. What about that last case we were doing with that girl that was underneath how long was she?
The basement?
The basement.
Oh my gosh, I don't even remember.
It was a long time. I think it was 20 maybe?
Yeah, I want to say it was 20 something
years.
I can't remember. I feel like I'm going to be wrong. Yeah. I can't remember. We've done so many and we've read so much that,
Yeah.
I just get my wires crossed. It's hard for me. I envy those podcasters that can
remember
all the details. I'm I can't do that. So anywho, let's get started. So Natascha Kampusch was abducted at age 10, March 2nd, 1998 by Wolfgang Pricklopil. I think I said that last name right. Doesn't really matter. He's a douche. But his first name was Wolfgang, which is really odd.
Yeah, because of Mozart.
Maybe that's...
Maybe he's related.
Maybe that's... Oh, I don't know. Maybe that's... I guess that's a popular name in Austria.
Last name. That's Mozart's last name, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. Yeah, it's his last name. So that's weird that it's his first name.
Wolfgang is Mozart's last name?
Yeah. Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. No, wait.
It's
no,
his
it's first name. Oh, okay, never mind.
Oh, you said that.
I was thinking Mozart. I was doing it backwards in my head. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Sorry.
I don't know. You know about music.
Yeah.
I know who Mozart is, but that's about it. So she was walking to school one morning, and she lived in the Vienna's district in these like apartment complexes.
Mm-hmm.
And her mom said that, her mom would watch her out the window and make sure she got around, because once she got to the end of the street, it was pretty much, she was right there at the school, and there was other kids and parents and stuff like that, so she didn't really worry about her, and she had been walking to school most days. I watched a documentary type thing on Netflix, and so it's pretty interesting. They obviously don't speak English, but they dub it. They like, they'll speak in
their regular language,
and then they'll talk,
Yeah.
Because my daughter was like, "What are they? How do you know what they're saying?" I was like, "Just wait." And there's the English. Okay. Yeah. But anyways, so yeah, she was walking to school, and she was literally like less than a block from school. And she said that she saw this van, and it was a white van, and there was this man standing outside of the white van, but he looked like a normal man, and she's 10, so I mean, she's not a little, she's still not a teenager, but she's not a little kid,
Yeah.
So she said she was just walking, and as soon as she walked past the van, the man grabbed her from behind and pulled her into the van. She said she remembers that they drove for a long time. It felt like a long time, but it wasn't as long as I guess it could have been. But she said when they arrived to the house, he put a blue blanket over her head, and then he dragged her into the cellar, or the cellar type thing, what she assumed was a cellar, and we'll talk about that. And then when Natascha did not return home from school, her mom said that she was about 10 minutes late, and she's usually never late, so she started calling people. I believe she called, like, what would be the office at their school. She called it something else, but she called them, and, they said, no, she's not here.
Wow, she was fast on the case. Only 10 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, because she was like, it was not like her to be late, and after about 10 minutes, she started to get worried.
Yeah.
She just knew something was wrong. So this case is a little different as far as what he does. Like, he kind of just keeps her prisoner basically for a good while, and we'll talk about all of it, but I'm just gonna
I thought you said we'll talk about it. I love it, but you said all of it.
No, all of it.
I was like, wait,
all of it. I don't love it. She said the first day that he brought her a thin foam mattress, and she had a blanket, like the blue blanket that she had over her head. Mm-hmm. She had that. She didn't have a pillow, but she used her jacket that she had and put it like bundled up. Oh, okay, she also said that she was wearing a dress, and she had stockings and everything on. She was just trying to keep as much clothing on as she could, because she said that she felt like if she took any of her clothes off, maybe he would, do something. And she didn't want that to happen right then. And this is all stuff that she was saying in the documentary.
Wow, I can't believe she's thinking about that at 10.
Yeah. Meanwhile, a massive search had started underway for her. A 12-year-old girl said that she thought that she saw two men actually, dragging her into a white minivan. So it wasn't two men. Natascha said that she doesn't ever remember there being two men. If there was a second one, she never saw it or anything like that. So
it was just him. Right?
It was probably just him. That's probably what she saw. Maybe she thought she saw another man. So they're looking for a minivan. The police. They immediately start looking all over for this minivan. And Natascha said that she didn't have any way to contact the man while she was down in the basement. So I'm going to kind of flip back and forth between, like, at one point I'll talk about the investigation, and then I'll talk about Natascha. So she said that, like, down in the basement, she, like, once he left, there was no way to communicate with him, and the walls of the basement were super thick. And well, like I said, we'll get to what it actually was, because it's kind of crazy. And so she said that she would just sit in there in the dark, and then every day he would come in and bring her, something.
Like food and stuff? Clothing?
Yeah. But after a while, I never could pinpoint exactly the time frames of all these things. She would just say, because she didn't know. She said sometimes it would feel like maybe a year would go by, 6 months would go by, 2 years would go by. She said after a while, and I think it was after about like 3 months or so, he finally installed like a voice intercom system type thing to communicate with her.
So he hasn't done anything to her yet, right?
No. I believe that comes much later. I'm thinking it comes like maybe 2 or 3 years later. I'm not really sure why. And by other stuff, I know you mean like sexual things.
Yeah.
She never really came out and said that and we'll get to why she never came out and said that she was raped or anything like that. On Wikipedia, it says that she was, after a few years.
Maybe she just didn't want to talk about it.
Well, it's kind of how the media treated her. And there were some things she wanted to keep to herself, is what she said. And she felt like, we'll get to how the media treated her at the end. But,
that's perfectly fine, like, keeping that to yourself. Like, she doesn't have to tell you.
No. I mean, I'm sure it happened. I have no doubt.
Yeah,
but I don't need to know when or whatever.
Don't need to know details if she doesn't want to tell us,
She said that the cellar that he kept her in was small, and it was underneath the garage, actually. The entrance was hidden behind a cupboard. So, like, there was a small little cupboard, and it was in the entrance to this. Like, you had to pull out, like, this safe or something in order to get behind the wall, and that's where the entrance was. The cellar had a door that was made of concrete and reinforced with steel. The room she was in was about 54 square feet. Don't ask me how big 54 square feet is, but I'm assuming from the pictures it looked like the room was probably a little bit bigger than the size of my bathroom, to give you kind of a...
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it was not big at all. I mean,
wow.
It was smaller than my bedroom. It was smaller than this room. It was smaller than our bedroom.
So like a hotel bathroom, pretty much. If you think of a regular
hotel
bathroom.
No, it was bigger than that.
Bigger than that?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how big 54 square feet is, but it's not big.
Yeah.
I mean, so y'all's house, like the mom and dad's trailer, is like 60-something foot.
Yeah.
Lengthwise. So if you took half of that, or 54 foot of that, and made it into a box, I mean, you can kind of get the gist. It wasn't very big.
It wasn't big.
But she did have, from the pictures that I saw, she did have like water, toilet. There were some other things. Now, I don't know if he put that in over time or if he had that in already. I never could find any information out about that. But
this kind of reminded me of the story that we were talking about with the girl and her dad put her down there. Now, kind of reminded me of
there
that.
were no windows, and the room was soundproof, and you actually had to crawl into the entrance. So once you pulled the once you went down under the what'd I say?
The entrance was like
garage. Once you
the garage.
Yeah, once you went down under there, you would pull this what'd I say it was?
The crawl space, right?
No. What's that thing called? A safe.
A safe.
Jeez.
Oh.
You'd pull the safe out, and then there was this hole in the wall where you would crawl through the wall. Then on the other side, there would be a reinforced steel door with concrete that you'd push open. And then you'd hop down, and then the other room was in there. So, yeah, he made Yeah.
He made a lot of stuff.
He made a lot of stuff. So, he was actually a contractor. For different buildings, like housing building stuff. His one of his colleagues, which we'll mention in this, he actually said that he remembers him asking him at one point, and it must have been while he was building this. I remembered asking him if you wanted to soundproof something and you wanted to make something to where nobody could hear. What did he say? I think it was like nobody could hear a nail gun. That's what he said. He said, what do you think would be the best way? And he was like, well, you probably want to, like, put a thick concrete and maybe something like that. And the guy said he was sickened to find out that that's what he was asking him about, you know. So, the police, meanwhile, while she's in the cellar and barely getting fed every day and just kind of, he feeds her enough to keep her alive, but he doesn't feed her enough for her to, like, be sustained, is what she said. And he kind of does that the entire time. The police were examining minivans. They actually examined 776 minivans, including Wolfgang's van. Yeah, that's right. He only lived half an hour from the abduction site, and he stated that when they asked him, like, they searched his van, and he had, like, concrete and stuff in it and all this different work equipment because, you know, he's a contractor. And he stated that he was at home alone the whole morning that she was abducted, and he had no criminal record, so they didn't really investigate him any further. They just kind of believed his story just simply because he didn't have a criminal record. There wasn't any flags that went off or anything like that. But they they were investigating 776 vans, for God's sakes. Now, 8 days after the police questioned him, they received a tip from somebody. It was a man, and I think it was his neighbor. And he was also I can't remember if he was a retired police detective or if he was a police detective. I don't think he was. I think he was retired. But anywho, the man was the neighbor, and he said that he was a recluse, like Wolfgang was a recluse, who owns a white truck. He was a shy loner who has surveillance cameras around his house, and he is thought to have a sexual interest in children. I don't know how he knew that. I guess people in the town probably thought that, maybe. The town he's living in gets the tip from the town that she was abducted from. They get the tip, and then the police just remember that they had already talked to him, so they don't do anything with it. They don't go check on. They don't do anything. Yeah, they just file it away.
Really?
Yep, really.
I
never go check on the house or anything like that, which is crazy to me. Natascha said that he eventually installed a timer in the cellar where the lights would go on and off, because before that she was pretty much just in the dark 90% of the time until he came down there and turned the lights on. She said that it was always humid and wet in the cellar. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. Ooh. She said that it also smelled like mold all the time, and there was bugs everywhere because, I mean, it's underground basically. And he poured I don't really know if he poured concrete. I guess he did, or put concrete up in it or whatever to reinforce the walls. But yeah, I mean, it's she said that the whole time that she was there, the whole 8 years, I mean, it was really molded and mildewed, and I'm really surprised that she didn't get some sort of cancer or something and die, to be perfectly honest. But
yeah, that's surprising that she wasn't like sick all the time.
Yeah. When Natascha was eventually allowed to come upstairs, it was either 6 months or a year after she had been there. There was conflicting reports. She was still in the darkness because he would close the blinds and lock all the doors, and he would not let her see any daylight, which I thought was really odd. I was like, why does it matter? Because I guess he had blackout curtains or blinds or whatever. I guess they were dark because she said there was barely any light coming from them. He also, of course, kept all the doors locked because he didn't want her to escape. He began to make her kind of like his slave. She was made to cook for him and clean for him. She also said at one point that, and I think that was when the sexual thing started happening, about 2 years after 1 to 2 years after she had been there. So she would have been 12. And she said he also, even when he was sick, he would let her out of the cellar just to come up there to take care of him. I would have poisoned his food.
Yeah.
To be perfectly honest. But he would have people, like, he worked for over at his house. Not all the time, but he would have, like, colleagues or something like that stop by, and nobody ever noticed anything. Like, the guy, one of the colleagues that was in the documentary, he said he had been there before, and he never even noticed anything out of the ordinary.
Would he let her up there?
No.
Okay.
It's just like
he wouldn't hear anything.
No, he wouldn't hear anything or nothing like that.
See weird things.
Yeah. Natascha, go ahead.
And then also, if this is in his not his basement but his garage, if it's in his garage, why isn't anybody like asking what's in the garage? Like, it's got to be like his car shouldn't be in there. Why are people not asking, why isn't your car in the garage?
His car is in the garage.
Okay, so
when you're in the garage,
I'm so confused.
It's kind of complicated. You'd have to look at pictures of it, but when you're in the garage,
let me look at pictures.
Yeah, you have to look up pictures because it's kind of complicated to explain. But I mean, while you're doing that, I'll read. Okay. Or talk more. So, Natascha said that he would starve her. He kept her weak so that way she wouldn't run away. Her body mass was only 14.8, like on the scale, your body mass. Yeah. And it's, at her age, it was supposed to be around 18, really skinny and not anywhere near what she should have been.
Yeah.
She said that Wolfgang was obsessed with cleaning and having things neat. He would make her wear a plastic bag on her head, and he would she said it was really painful because she had to wear a plastic bag on her head, and it was clipped on there with clips, and they would like dig into her scalp and everything. He didn't want her hair getting everywhere. He also didn't want her fingerprints on anything. So if he saw a fingerprint, like if she was cleaning and he saw a fingerprint on like glass or something, he would like beat her and make her clean it off. Probably because she was thinking she actually said this. She said, I think it's because he probably didn't want any evidence left behind because her hair or her fingerprints or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it was still really weird. So, anywho, I don't know what just happened to the podcast, but okay.
Anyway, I looked up the picture and stuff, and I saw it.
Yeah, it pretty much is through the.
Yeah,
you have to. Like,
really
it was
small.
like you had to move something, and then you crawled through to the other side. So
yeah.
Yeah, but like I said, he didn't like for things to be messy and all that stuff. Yeah. He also would punish her if she did anything that he didn't like, which obviously we kind of figured that. He'd slap her around and stuff like that. He eventually cut all of her hair off. It started out, she said, she actually told him, she was like, well, I'll just cut my hair. If it's such a big deal, instead of me wearing this thing on my head all the time, I'll just cut my hair. So she cut it, he gave her a pair of scissors and she cut it short, but he said that he was going to cut it shorter. And he just cut all her hair off pretty much. I mean, it was super, super short. He would also abuse her to the point where she said that she felt like he was just trying to have a submissive slave, basically. Like, that's what he was trying to do. Yeah. Which is crazy, and, well, I'll explain that at the end. He would also tell her that he had explosives on the doors, and that he had a gun, and if she ever tried to leave, he would shoot her. And he would also threaten her family, and say that he knew where her mother lived and all this stuff, so he would kill her, mom and dad and all this. So, like they normally, a lot of cases like this, we've heard them say that. So a little bit about Wolfgang was that he was an only child, according to his colleague that he worked with. And he also, like, after his father died, he kind of developed a intense relationship with his mother. I'm not quite sure what that means. I couldn't find anything. Like, I wanted to know, like, what kind of intense relationship with his mother. Like, are we talking, like, that kind of intense relationship with his mother? But, I don't know.
That would explain a lot.
Yeah. I don't know if maybe it was, like, a Norman Bates situation. I'm not sure. But, yeah, it was really strange. But he also said that he had high demands for women, like, what he wanted them to be.
Gross.
His colleague said that he needed, that the women needed to be clean, slim, and blonde. So they needed to be basically like models, I guess you could say.
Basically like a child?
Yeah. Well, she was blonde and she was
a child, yeah. So you're just a pedophile, pretty much.
Yeah. In 2002, so this is a pretty lengthy amount of time, there was a private detective on the case, and he came up with this crazy theory that Natascha's mother was having an affair with a businessman, and Natascha was in the way, so she killed her and buried her in this spot that he thought her body was in. Like, it was this whole like fiasco thing.
Wow.
Her mom said, yeah, her mom was like, she was like, yeah, I was pissed because
no evidence or nothing. Just
no
like
evidence
the top
or nothing.
of his head, pretty much.
So where this guy thought that Natascha was buried, they dug it up, and obviously there was no body there, and so nothing came of that, of course. But I just thought that was crazy that this random private detective was like, you know what, I think the mother did it, and they
no evidence.
actually, they actually like were like, yeah, let's dig up this whole piece of land just to find out.
How about you do your job? I don't know.
It was weird.
It's so funny how they'll accuse her of that, do all that, but they couldn't even like check a van or literally go look at a suspect.
Yeah, if they would have opened up all the files again on the people, because he was filed away as like a person of interest, but he was never talked to again. So if they would have just looked that up again, probably would have seen her in 2002. She didn't escape till 2006, so
they probably just needed like a search dog in there, and then the dog would have smelled her and barked.
Maybe, yeah. Especially since she had been upstairs at that point.
I think that's what they need to do if anybody's in like a suspect and they're looking for somebody.
Yeah. So Natascha said that she thought many times about ending her life, but she didn't want to give up. She said that it would have been like giving in, and she just wanted to keep fighting. He eventually gave her books to read and would kind of like give her stuff to help her with her education. He would buy her math books too, because she said that she asked for them. She said that she also asked to take like math tests, and he could grade them because he was pretty smart, Yeah. And so he would do that, but she said it just became like a way for him to just dominate her, because she said that he would always take a red marker and mark every single question wrong, and then get on to her and like be mad at her for not knowing what she was doing. But she said that she knew some of the answers were right that she did. Yeah. It was just weird. It was like,
that's weird.
It was like he was
trying to make her feel dumb, pretty much.
Yeah.
Trying to break her.
Yeah. Over the years, the police would tell her mom to buy a plot and visit her because they thought that she was dead. They're like, she's probably dead, so you just need to buy a gravestone, and like that'll be a spot you can visit her at. But even though there was no evidence or even a body found, they still told her this, which was crazy to me. Usually they don't tell parents that. Well, here in the US, they don't, unless they find a body, they don't say that they're dead or anything like that. But Natascha's mom, the whole 8 years, even up until she was found, she was like, I believed that she was still alive. I could just feel that she was still alive. And there's a lot of parents like that we've done these abduction stories on that, always can just tell whether or not their child's gone or not, which is crazy to me.
I don't know what I would do if like a kid, even Adeline, if Adeline was gone, I wouldn't stop searching. I could understand
really hard.
Why parents keep searching.
Oh yeah, I can too. Because I would never
Never
able to stop searching. Yeah. Natascha said that after a few years, he would let her go out into this garden that he had, but he would only let her go out at night, and she would ask if she could pick different flowers and different things to take back to the cellar, and he was like, sure, whatever. She said that after some time, she just kept saying after some time, after a couple of years, she would say that over and over. So I don't really know exactly when, but after some time, she said that he started, taking her out. Like he worked on different apartments and stuff. Like he would renovate them, and so he would take her to work, and he would be like, he wouldn't let her talk to anybody, but he would always, like, if somebody would come up to her, she would conveniently always have like bricks in her hand or something she was carrying, and he would just say, oh, this is my helper, or something like that.
Oh, okay.
And she wasn't really a kid at that point. She was probably like
a teenager, maybe?
A teenager, 14, 15, 16, somewhere in there. So obviously nobody's going to ask questions, and they're just going to think, okay, whatever. But yeah, he would, he felt confident that she wasn't going to go anywhere. And everybody always asked her, like, they always thought that she had Stockholm Syndrome, and she kind of gets really upset when people think that, because she said it's not like that at all. It's just, and there's a lot of abduction cases where people automatically are like, you must have Stockholm Syndrome. You didn't flee and run and leave. And it's like, well, no, it's not that. It's just that he was so abusive sexually and physically and all this stuff, and she was so wore down that she said that she thought that there was no way she was going to get away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And also, he said that he would do something to her family, or he would just shoot her.
Yeah.
And she was scared of that, too. Yeah. I mean, and he probably brainwashed her. Probably brainwashed her into thinking that she could never escape, she could never get away,
Yeah. Because this was 7 years after she had been there that he started letting her go to work,
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, that's a long time. So I can understand why people, and there was another report that said that she went on a ski trip with him, and I think that's in that movie, that 3,096 days.
Yeah.
They went on like a ski trip or something like that, and she didn't run away, and just all this different stuff. But, I mean, I can understand why she didn't run away for sure. She did say that at one point, though, they were in town, and there was a roadblock, and there was a police officer, and she said that she was in the passenger seat, and she was trying to signal the police officer with, like, her eyes. She was, like, making all these eye contacts, moving her eyes around, looking at him, looking at the police officer, had this look on her face, and she said the police officer must have been stupid because he didn't get my cues.
Signals.
And I was like, that sucks.
Like, if I saw a kid looking around like that, I'd be like, are you alright? Are you okay?
Yeah, because she didn't escape till she was 18, so she's still a teenager. Plus, she's really skinny and malnourished looking, and that's another thing she said. She said, I didn't look like a typical 15, 16-year-old.
And, like, her hair is skinny, knotted, probably, really cut.
It's shorts.
Yeah, and maybe
she said I was pale. I never got out in the sun. So, yeah, I mean, I don't understand why he didn't think, oh, something's wrong here. So, yeah, she lived a pretty shitty life. I mean, it's not like, obviously she would have much rather have been home with her parents, and for anybody that thinks she had Stockholm Syndrome and she was okay with being where she wasn't okay with being where she was. She was just trying to survive.
And anyone that does have
Stockholm Syndrome, to me, I feel like is more or less of like if you have a way to escape and you do leave, but you come back.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Like you actually are so brainwashed to the point when you love this person.
Yeah.
And that wasn't the case. And we're going to talk about her escape, so that's where we're at. So the 18-year-old Natascha escaped from Wolfgang's house on August 23rd, 2006 at 12:53 p.m. She was cleaning and vacuuming his automobile in the garden when he got a call on his mobile phone. Because of the vacuum's loud noise, he walked away to take the call, which he didn't really ever do. He kind of just hovered around her a lot. He never would let her go anywhere by herself. So Natascha left the vacuum cleaner running, and she ran away. Right there.
So she just ran?
Mm-hmm. He didn't see because he thought she was still vacuuming. Mm-hmm. And he completed the phone call, and without any sign of being disturbed or distracted, Natascha ran for some 200 meters through neighborhoods, gardens, streets. She jumped fences. She asked passerbys to call the police, but they paid her no attention, which they just didn't want to get involved. After about 5 minutes, she knocked on the window of a 71-year-old man known as Ingi T? I don't know. Saying, "I am Natascha Kampusch. Then can you please, call the police?"
Yeah.
The neighbor called the police, and who arrived around 1:04. So
in the afternoon,
from 12:53 to 1:04.
Okay.
That's the short amount of time, Later, Natascha was taken to the police station in town. Natascha was identified by scars on her body and by her passport. That was something I forgot to mention. She actually had her passport on her because her family, when she was abducted, her family had just gotten back from a trip, and so she still had her passport in her wallet and her book bag, and so she had it the whole time, even when she was and we'll get to why that's important too. At one point, the police, I guess I'll go ahead and say it. At one point, the police thought that maybe she had been a victim of sex trafficking or prostitution or something like that, because they knew that she had her passport, so they were thinking, okay, well, she's probably overseas by now, or gone, another country. So, they also did a DNA test, and she was in good physical health, although she was pale, shaken, and of course, she only weighed 106 pounds. She weighed 99 pounds when she was abducted 8 years prior to that.
Wow, she's 18, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
So she weighed 99 pounds when she was abducted at 10, and at 18 she only weighed 106. So she only gained 7 pounds over an 8 period.
Wow.
She only grew 5 inches during her captivity as well. So that's another thing. So Sabin, I'm not even going to try to say his last name. It was a police officer. He was the first police officer to speak with Natascha after her ordeal. And she said that she was astonished. The woman police officer said that she was astonished by her intellect and her vocabulary. After 2 years, Wolfgang, like I said, would bring her books, newspapers. She would listen to the radio and stuff like that, and he would help her with her education. But she also taught herself a lot of things. She also stated that she constantly had the feeling that she lacked something. She said that she felt like she had a defect, so I wanted to make that better, and I tried to educate myself. This is Natascha talking. To teach myself skills and to learn how to knit, for example. So yeah. Crazy thing. This part pisses me off. After the police talk to her and everything, and they find out, that it's Wolfgang, and he realized that she was gone after, a while. And he was he basically, obviously, I don't know, because we don't really know what was going through his head, but he obviously knew he was fixing to get caught.
Yeah.
So he drives to a train station nearby, goes out on the train tracks, lays down, and a train comes and cuts his head off. So he commits suicide.
Wow.
What an asshole.
What a douchebag.
Yeah. He commits suicide. So he never got his...
She never got her justice.
She never got her justice. He never got his I don't know what I'm trying to say, but
I know what you're trying to say, but I can't think of the word.
But anyways, so I just thought that was shitty. But so after all that, after he commits suicide, she's, you know, finally reunited with her mom and everything. Then the media starts saying a bunch of just crap. They started saying that she was, of course, she had Stockholm Syndrome. They started saying that she was in a prostitution ring, or that she was... What? Yeah, I don't understand. I don't know. Why? She just said that the media...
did they twist her words? Or did they just not interview her and they were like, yeah, sounds like a sexual ring and that just... No. I hate the media. Period.
Yeah. So she, after the media kind of treated her like crap and didn't really ever want to listen to her story, she just said that was why she never came out with all the things that happened to her. And I don't blame her.
I don't blame her.
I would do the same thing.
Because it was probably hard for her to tell every detail of stuff that he made her do.
There's several books about this abduction. There's several movies or documentaries, films, things like that. But the recent one that people on TikTok have been talking about is the 3,096 days movie. Because that's how long she was in captivity.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is the story of Natascha Kampusch and how she survived 8 years of being in captivity by this man who sounds like he had mommy issues and needed to be a dominant to someone, which I'm like, you know, get a dom. I mean, get a submissive. Yeah. I'm sure you could have found one somewhere out there.
Usually guys that have daddy issues, mommy issues. Daddy issues, more like, they're more cryy and stuff, but like mommy issues, most of the time, they're going to be really tough. Like, I'm a tough guy.
Well, she said, this is crazy to me, she said that she forgave him every time he would do something to her, sexually or, you know, physically or something like that. She said she would forgive him because she said that she didn't want to hold on to that, which I get that. But she also said that she kind of sympathized with him. She said because she felt like he was sick. She felt like, and that's what she said in the interview. She said, I felt like he was sick, and that's why he was doing what he was doing. If he wasn't sick, which obviously mentally was crazy. Ill, yeah. If he wasn't, you know, sick or nothing like that, he wouldn't have been doing what he was doing. And he was just trying to figure out a way to be better, just like everybody else was in the life.
She's really smart.
Yeah.
She's really smart for all that. Like, even when she was 10 and she knew, like, I have to keep my clothes on because something's going to happen. Mm-hmm. And then her saying that's really smart.
Yeah. And we don't really know when, the sexual abuse started or anything like that. But if he did wait till she was older, that's just really odd to me.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why she said that she felt like he was battling demons as well, because maybe, I don't know, we don't have a clue.
I feel like
maybe there were times that he tried but he couldn't, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It just sounds like he was really insecure and he thought, I'm not going to get anybody who's going to follow my every command.
Yeah. Yeah. But he was still an ass, and he shouldn't have done what he did, regardless. Sure. He was a weirdo. For sure, because
he even his looks really weird.
Yeah, he looks really weird. And we'll post some pictures of him and her and some pictures of the room. But I wanted to let you guys know the majority of the pictures that we do post, go to our Instagram and look at them, because even like I believe we had, was it last episode, the Hello Kitty murders? Yeah. I don't know if I posted any on our YouTube. But if you want to look, if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, you can go to our Instagram and see more pictures. Sometimes I don't, because some of those pictures turn out grainy on the video. And there was another thing that I wanted to ask you guys. We thought about maybe taking down our YouTube channel because we don't get as many views on it. And maybe revamping it later if we decide to do video. So it's just a thought. If you guys don't have a problem with that, please let us know. If you know, if you don't want us to take down our YouTube, comment on the YouTube
page, yeah.
Video.
Yeah.
Comment on this video and let us know if you don't want us to take it down. But if you are listening to us on YouTube, you can listen to us on Spotify, Apple, Google, all different kinds of stuff. You just have to go to our Linktree link and you can see all the stuff that we're on. Stitcher, we're on a whole bunch of different platforms. But yeah, so anyways, we love you guys, and also let us know what else you want us to do. We're not really running out of ideas by any means. We have tons of stuff. It's just sometimes we like to hear from you guys what you want us to talk about, like what's more interesting to you. I kind of can tell by the views that we get on different videos. Like I said, abduction videos seem to be really popular. I'm not sure why, but whatever. And serial killer ones, which I swear to God we're going to do another serial killer. We just haven't done one in a while.
Yeah.
It's just, we decided to do a serial killer and then like something pops up and I'm like, oh, we should do this. Wait.
And serial killers, there's a lot of details.
It's a lot.
Everything.
It's a lot of research.
A whole process.
Yeah, because there's multiple murders. So you have to, and I want to get every date right and everything right. So I like to have it all. If I do a serial killer episode, it usually takes me a whole day to get the research done. Maybe 2. Depends on how long it is. But yeah, so let us know in the comments what you guys want us to talk about next. Give us a serial killer that maybe not a lot of people have heard about. Because I don't really want to talk about, like, I don't know.
We've talked about Jeffrey Dahmer, haven't we?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Yeah.
But,
famous
Ed Gein and people like that. I don't really want to. We'll do those eventually, but
yeah.
So yeah, we hope that you guys have a fantastic rest of your weekend. It's Sunday, and then hopefully we will see you guys. We'll be back on here Friday. Like I said, if not, we'll post something about it. Forgive us, because next week's really going to be busy for me. My kids start school on Friday, so we're trying to get everything done before that. But yeah, if you want to keep up with us, go on our Instagram, and we will talk to you guys later. Bye.